I've lived in Cairns the last 5 years and I'm a chef. One of my main passions is travelling, and last year I decided to go to Nepal. I was wanting to do a trek, but because of the weather, the trek was cancelled, so I decided to do some voluntary work. I met a girl who told me about a centre that was in desperate need of help. The centre was 20 minutes away from the city, and it was held 30 disabled people. When I arrived at the centre, I couldn't believe the state of the place. It smelled of rotten flesh, there was urine puddles all over the floor. The people were in a really bad condition, and there was no help from charities or government. The roof was leaking, there was mould on the walls, and birds had made their homes in the roof. I took a walk around the centre and came across some things that I couldn't believe. The toilets were really bad. To me it looked like they hadn't been cleaned for 10 years. There was 2 toilets for 30 people, and there was no cleaners to be seen. When I spoke to some of the residents, they said that the cook of the centre helped to clean when she could, which was probably 20 minutes a day. On further inspection, I noticed one of the residents was getting his dressings changed. When I had a close look and the dressings were removed, there was lots of maggots falling out of the wound, and the nurse who was cleaning the dressings wasn't qualified. I spoke to a few of the people and they told me that there was no qualified nurses there, and they just didn't have the funds to support. I went to have a look at the kitchen, and being a chef, everything is really hygienic and clean in Australia and England. This kitchen had rats, mice, flies, and the food was kept in a cupboard and not in the fridge. There's no power in Nepal, only 6 hours a day. One of the residents told me there was a guy that spoke English, so I headed to his room. This is Krishna. Krishna's 26. 4 years ago he had an accident in the gym. He'd gone to Malaysia to work as a cleaner to help raise more funds for his family. When he had the accident, he woke up 4 months later out of a coma, and the nurses told him he'd never walk again. He was a paraplegic and was paralysed from the neck down. His employers sent him back to Nepal, where no funding was available for him medically or from the government. His brother promised he'd help him get better and went out and did some work to raise money to find doctors. Every doctor that found Krishna told his brother just to let him die. There was no point in helping him, just let him die, he's paralysed. When I met Krishna, he'd been inside the room for 2 years. He hadn't seen the sun, he hadn't been outside, and his brother had broke his arm and couldn't pay for any of his fees. So I told him not to worry, I'd pay his fees for 4 months. I got talking to a few other volunteers, and we got wheels on his bed and got a wheelchair so he could be wheeled outside. The day he got wheeled outside with all the other residents was a really happy but sad day. I decided to tell my friends everything I was doing, so I created a Facebook group. I wrote to local newspapers in England and even got a spot on Win News in Cairns. I was amazed how much the Facebook group really got publicity for the centre. A couple of my friends from Cairns also went and visited Krishna when they were doing treks, and one boy from Melbourne in particular asked Krishna what he'd like to do, and Krishna said he'd like to go to the zoo. So he tied him to the back of the truck and took the 45-minute journey to the zoo. And Krishna seen an elephant for his first time. This year I decided to plan a surprise return to the centre. I never told anybody I was going, and everybody was really happy to see me. It was such a surprise seeing the cleanliness of the centre. There was an extra cleaner employed by a Facebook member. There was 6 physiotherapists who were volunteering the time for 6 months of the year from England, and the place just had a completely different feel to it. Everybody was really happy. I cooked Indian food, Australian food, Thai food. We had a huge party, and I treated everybody how I could. I started feeling guilty that I was helping just Krishna, so I decided to do some things while I was there, so not just to help him. So as well as paying for Krishna's bed, board and medicine, I decided to create a medicine cupboard, so everybody in the centre gets free medicine and they don't have to struggle also. I installed Wi-Fi. Somebody from America in the Facebook group donated a computer, and I can Skype the residents once a month now. They even get on Facebook. I created a collage and I took everybody's photo and made a memorial on the wall. It really brightened the wall up and brightened everybody's smiles up too. It's amazing how such a small thing can help and make people so happy. One thing I didn't realise was Krishna's bed sores. In order to get rid of them, he needs to have an air mattress. We got air mattresses for a few of the residents who were struggling, but in Nepal there's only 6 hours of power a day. The mattress needs 24 hours. The only way to power the mattress was solar power. So me and 2 other people, we put our money together, $5,000, and we installed solar power. The solar power powered the lights, the mattresses, fans, and it was incredible. I didn't believe that we could do something so big, and it made me realise that anything was possible. So this year I decided that I'm going to do a massive fundraiser every year in order to raise money for a massive project and go out there and complete it. The centre really needs a roof. So this year I'm making a calendar in Cairns. It's called Cairns Hotties. I've gone around lots of bars and restaurants and picked a lot of girls and boys who are quite good looking. I took lots of photos in iconic spots, and the calendar will be sold in October. All the money goes towards the cost of the roof or things that we need in the centre. And if anybody would like to help, has any advice, any information, come and get a card off me. Thank you.